Welcome to Unspoken Cures Radio, speaking the truth about real health talk. Unspoken Cures Radio is presented by Fusion Ions Bands. Live your best. And now, here are the hosts from Unspoken Cures Radio, Matt Rincars and Donald Barrett.
Well, good morning and welcome to a brand new edition of Unspoken Cures Radio. I'm your co-host, Donald Barrett, and I'm here with Matt Rincars. And we have a very interesting show on tap this hour, and you're really going to want to stay tuned. Matt, we're first going to start off talking about current events, news that's out there this week in the health and sports world.
Yeah, exactly. And, last week we started a segment that a lot of our listeners really enjoyed, and that was the Shameless Promoter of the Week. And, we get we get a lot of people that send in their thoughts as to who we should pick as a shameless promoter, because there's lots of people that are shamelessly promoting food and drugs and things like that that are not of the best interest of the public. But one person that I've personally attacked before through my blog, and now she's being attacked by Food Babe, which is another great website. She focuses on healthy foods. Food Babe recently released an article, and it said, Jillian Michaels, shut your lips about Pop Chips. And Pop Chips, if you're not familiar with Pop Chips, they are marketed as a natural company that has a natural product that's supposed to be healthy, that you're supposed to feel good about eating, feel good about feeding your kids. So Jillian Michaels, who, if you don't know who she is, she's on The Biggest Loser. She's a big name in fitness. People listen to her. She's an influencer. People listen to what she has to say.
Yeah, she has a great following, huge following.
And she went on TV, and she said that this is a great product. It's all natural. It does not have MSG. Is not made from GMOs, and she's wrong. She's 100% dead wrong. That product is made from GMOs. It's been proven that it's made with GMOs, and she essentially was either too dumb to actually look into what she was representing, because again, it's all about money, or she literally doesn't know what she's talking about.
Matt, for our audience, explain what a GMO is.
So a GMO is a genetically modified organism. So think of it as lab-based food. So men in lab coats that are redesigning the DNA of food, so engineering the DNA of food. I mean, Donald, this is like X-Men stuff, okay? And they're redesigning the food so it lives longer, is resistant to pesticides. They've even, Donald, I read something today. They figured out now how to make plants and vegetables that generate their own pesticides.
But how widespread are these GMOs? I mean, when you talk about GMOs and you go, my wife just went to the supermarket. I mean, is the supermarket filled with foods that are GMOs?
Well, Donald, not really. Only about 80%.
80%?
Only about 80%. Only about 80% of the food supply. And again, I've said this before, but that's why other countries will not import our food, because it is completely full of GMOs. And
why are GMOs bad for us? And they've been proven to be bad for us. Am I right?
Yes, 100%. And they've been proven. Two main things. One, anytime you alter the DNA of anything, you're asking for what are called genetic mutations. And the problem with genetic mutations is they're unpredictable. So we are essentially consuming these genetic mutations into our body when we eat these foods, which is the problem is we just don't know. We have to fear the unknown. We don't know what it's going to do to our body long term. That's the first thing. Second,
and many other countries are banning these genetically modified foods.
Yeah, they're banning or heavily regulating.
Okay.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No. Another very interesting part, though, Donald, is they actually GMOs. Let's say that you design a crop that is resistant to pesticides, meaning now the farmers can spray it with pesticides that will not die. Well, those same resistant functionalities that they've built in to that genetically modified crop makes it resistant, essentially passes on to your body, so now your body is resistant to the nutrients. So what does that mean? That means you eat a big salad, you eat vegetables, you eat something that's supposed to make you full, your body is not able to get any nutrients from the food, so you end up hungry and hungrier. So now you're eating and eating and eating and eating because your body's telling you, I need more, because the food you're eating does not give you the nutrients.
Yeah, I was telling this somebody earlier today, Matt, because I know you're writing the new book, the weight loss edition of Unspoken Cures, and I was just talking about this earlier because at the end of the day, Americans have full bellies because they're foraging on food, but they're not getting the nutrients. We were designed to eat food to nourish our bodies. But since we're eating all these foods that don't have any nutrients in it, and it's grown in soil that's nutrient depleted, we can virtually eat all day long, but we're not getting nutrients. So our brain never tells our stomach that it's full because even though you've been eating all day, your body is still not nourished. So we're a country that's overfed and undernourished.
Yeah, you could not have said it better. That's exactly right. And that's what happens is our brain never signals to our stomach to stop eating. And I cover this extensively in the Unspoken Cures Weight Loss Edition. And, my thought process when I was writing this in the book was I want people to understand, you have to understand why you're fat. You have to understand why you've gained weight. And as you know, I've been there. I was well over 300 pounds at one point in my life. So I had to understand why and how I got to that point before I could ever fix it. And genetically modified foods are a major reason that we're overweight nowadays.
But why are the food companies coming out with so many foods that are genetically modified?
Money. It all goes back to money, like we've said over and over again. It's all about the money.
It's cheaper to make genetically modified foods?
It's cheaper.
They last longer?
Yeah, it's cheaper. They're resistant. I mean, think about it. If you have something that's resistant to pesticides, you don't lose any crops. They're able to have a much higher success rate as far as crops that make it throughout, because they still grow. They modify the seeds and they plant the seeds and they still grow like a regular crop. It's just a modified crop. Probably one of the scariest things I read today, this was absolutely disgusting. So one of the new ways they modified vegetables is they've modified them to where they produce their own pesticides. They're self-producing pesticides. And the pesticide that they're producing is organophosphate. Now, if you were in the military during World War I, World War II, that name would scare the hell out of you because it was used for nerve gas. So we're using something that was used previously to kill people, and we're putting that in our food supply as a pesticide at a smaller dose. So
now you're saying this Jillian Michaels, okay, who's a fitness guru, has a huge following, is now promoting GMOs, and she doesn't know it, or I mean, is she just? I mean,
well, you know what? It's. I think it's even worse than that, Donald. What she's doing is she is telling people that the foods that she's representing are GMO free when they 100% are not.
Oh, so she's flat out lying.
She's lying to people. And those people, unfortunately, are the same people that are going to go buy that food thinking they're safe, and they're full of GMOs. It's just
now she just must be getting paid from the company.
She definitely is getting paid. She's 100% getting paid. There's no way around it. And like I said, she either is knowingly doing it, or she isn't smart enough to take a second and look at the company itself. Because here's the other thing, Donald. As a food company, you don't have to label whether or not it's a GMO product or not. And State after state after state has tried to pass legislature to get these companies to do it. And guess what? Monsanto, who's the main chemical provider for the GMO industry, they pony up tens of millions of dollars and defeat those bills one at a time. So I ask you, if you're willing to spend tens of millions of dollars for every state to hide something, you must be hiding something pretty damn bad. And that's what it looks like to me. And you know, it's a sad state that they're allowed to continue to sell this type of food, and in my opinion, kill people.
But you know, the thing is, and the scary thing to me is, people do not know who to listen to. You know, with the drug companies that now can advertise on television, the drug companies advertise in all the magazines and the newspapers and on radio. So all these TV stations and radio stations, a lot of their biggest advertisers or their biggest clients are these pharmaceutical companies.
Yep.
So if there's a negative story or something comes out about maybe a deleterious side effect with a drug, they're less likely to get that information out there because they don't want to, you know, piss off one of their clients.
No, you're absolutely right, and it's this big cycle that, again, all has to do with money.
I mean, you go to WebMD, and every other page on WebMD is talking about a drug.
Yep.
Or has an advertisement for a drug. I mean, half the information that comes out on WebMD is biased or slanted, in my opinion, and that's where a lot of people go to get that type of information. You know, that's why I'm so excited about what we're doing with this Unspoken Cures brand, so we can bring people finally unbiased information, because we don't take advertising dollars from big pharma. And that's how a lot of these organizations are thriving today. So you can actually trust the information that we're going to be putting out there on Unspoken Cures.
Yeah, you can 100%, because we're bringing you the real data. We have access to, you know, real experts that are unbiased, and we also have access to websites and our own information from areas that are not funded. Because, see, here's the problem, is there's lots of quote-unquote information sources that are funded by the food companies, funded by the pharmaceutical industry. So it's hard to, like you said, it's hard to sift through. So that's why we bring pure, unbiased information about the best natural or unspoken cures that are out there.
And Donald, we're going to have to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to be investigating a very polarizing, controversial figure throughout the United States. His name is Kevin Trudeau, and you know him as the best-selling author of Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. And he's under a lot of scrutiny right now. He's involved with a lawsuit and a criminal case with the Federal Trade Commission. And we are going to look at his life, the things he's marketed, and give you our opinions on his claims and let you know what we think about what he said in his books. So all that and more coming up right after a word from our sponsors. This is Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network.
How do you turn a batter into a hitter? With Slugmaster Hitting Stations. Slugmaster Hitting Stations are the most effective and durable baseball and softball batting practice devices available. Versatile, compact, and easy to use, they are excellent tools for ball player at any skill level. Attached to any pole or post for an instant hitting station. Use it at the ballpark, at home, or anywhere you want to get some hits in. Work the strike zone, top to bottom, in and out. The most complete workout year-round, indoors or outdoors, teams or individuals. Slugmaster equipment is constructed from high-grade steel. The rugged design means years and years of use. Slugmaster equipment is used by youth, high school, college, and professional ball players. For more information or to place your order, call 708-705-7354 or visit slugmaster.com. Slugmaster Baseball and Softball Hitting Aids, turning batters into hitters. Marquette Catholic Blazers basketball is here, and they are proud to call the Arena Sports Network home. Join the voice of the Blazers, Brian Snow, as he brings you all of the exciting action beginning November 30th against the Spartans of North Newton at 7:30. You can follow the Blazers all season long on the Arena Sports Network as they begin their quest toward Bankers Life Fieldhouse and a state championship run. Beginning November 30th, the Blazers call the Arena Sports Network home as the chase for Bankers Life Fieldhouse begins, only on the Arena Sports Network.
iGo Car Sharing, dedicated to creating a robust and seamlessly integrated transportation system that's ubiquitous, convenient, and affordable for individuals, and provides the region with expanded economic development opportunities and exemplary environmental performance. Since its inception in 2002, iGo has worked to catalyze a set of transportation innovations that make it feasible and desirable for Chicago residents to get around conveniently and economically without having to own a car, and at the same time reduce vehicle miles traveled and greenhouse gas emissions. A mobility system that is independent of private car ownership, requires solutions that use resources efficiently, saves residents money, and decreases the individual and regional ecological footprint. It allows residents to easily choose between multiple modes of transportation to move from point to point quickly, inexpensively, and conveniently. Innovative information technology can integrate both trip planning and service payment across all types of transit, including rail transit, commuter rail, local bus, bus rapid transit, and more. Visit us online at igocars.org and find a location nearest you. iGo Cars, Chicago's only hometown nonprofit car sharing company.
You're listening to Unspoken Cures Radio on the Arena Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network. This hour, we're going to be investigating the work and the life and the claims of the one and only Kevin Trudeau. And if anyone has seen the recent media, Kevin is facing a court battle. He's been facing a court battle for a few years now. And it all stems from claims he's made throughout the years and different infomercials he's been in. He's kind of an infomercial king when it comes to late night television. And most of us have seen his infomercials. We've heard his claims. And we just wanted to investigate and pull the great information that he provided from that may not be so great. And Donald, I know that you have kind of an interesting perspective because you worked with him for years. How many years did you work with him?
You know, I worked with him for a number of years, but I've known him going back about 10 years now. I mean, he's best known for the book Natural Cures and More Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About. He also wrote the book The Weight Loss Cure. And, you know, Kevin was born in Massachusetts, actually Lynn, Massachusetts. A lot of people don't remember the Mega Memory program, but that was actually one of his first infomercials. He's actually a genius with memory, developed this program called Mega Memory, and it became one of the greatest selling memory programs of all time. Now, recently, his battle has been with the natural cures in the regarding the FTC and the FDA. See, Kevin put himself in a very unique situation, in my opinion. He really goes to battle against the FTC and the FDA, which, you know, we have issues with as well, Matt, the FDA and the FTC, but he really goes after them and attacks them. And he sells millions of books. I mean, I think the Natural Cures book was on the New York Times bestseller list for 17 weeks. And the powers to be over at the FDA and the FTC do not like Kevin Trudeau. And Kevin Trudeau obviously does not like them. But unfortunately, the federal government has all the money in the world to go after Kevin Trudeau and prosecute Kevin Trudeau. Now, I can tell you everything that because I know him personally and I've interviewed him many times, I can tell you this, Matt. Everything that he writes in his book, Unspoken Natural Cures, and his Weight Loss Cure book, he believes 100%. And he got in trouble years ago for promoting a product called Coral Calcium that had a bunch of health benefits, but since it was a natural product and it wasn't an FDA-approved drug, the FTC came down on him on that particular product, and he was sued and had a settlement with the Federal Trade Commission for $2 million.
So Donald, let's take a second and walk through kind of his battles one by one with the government so people fully understand what he's been through and what he's facing now. So you know this better than I do, but like you were just saying, he was sued for, you said $2 million, right?
$2 million for the coral calcium. He was selling a direct product. He interviewed a guy named Robert Barefoot on a product called coral calcium, and it did over $100 million in sales. It was one of the biggest, most popular supplements for years. And the FTC came down on him and said he was making cancer cure claims, which if you watch the infomercial, that's not what he was doing. But the way they write up the court documents and they attack him in the news and the media, you would think he was selling a cure for cancer. And it's just not true. See, the FDA, and we've talked about this before, Matt, the FDA made a law which is unconstitutional. Didn't go to the House of Representatives, didn't go to the Senate, wasn't signed off by the president. It was a law that was created by the FDA. And the law states this, Matt, that nothing can cure, prevent, or treat a disease unless it's a drug. And I want you to think about how arrogant that is. They're saying nothing has ever, and nothing will ever cure, prevent, or treat a disease unless it's a drug. Now, it's kind of sad because we know, for instance, like an orange that has vitamin C in it is the cure for scurvy. But if you actually went on television and said that, you could be facing huge fines and possible jail time because of this law that the FDA put out there. So what Kevin Trudeau did, Matt, is he wrote a book called Natural Cures, which he believed that he was protected by the First Amendment. And he put a whole bunch of natural cures and remedies in this book and on his website. And the government attacked him, not only in court, but they attacked him in the news media. If you do a search on the FTC and Kevin Trudeau on Google, you'll see so many things that come up trying to debunk his information. And Matt, I think one of the things that people don't understand is it's really not his information. He's simply passing on information that he's discovered over the years. And, you know, I've read the book. I know you've read the book. And I think there is really good information in the book that most people aren't aware of.
It gives you options. You know, that's the key is people need to have need to have options. So they know that drugs and surgery are available. We know that is everywhere. We know that option's available. But the natural options are not available, and I agree with you. His infomercials were very interesting. I remember watching them, and I was engaged with what he was talking about because as a human being, we all want the ability to make a choice for ourselves on how we treat our body, and that's essentially what Natural Cures did. That's what we are doing every day with Unspoken Cures. So my question, Donald, is he was, from what I understand, he started selling books because he was banned, correct, from selling anything on TV?
Right. After the coral calcium situation, he basically went to the FTC and proposed a settlement. He said, you can ban me from producing infomercials, except my First Amendment right, which is to sell books. So he cannot produce any more infomercials on natural products. And he basically waives all of his royalties and anything on any natural product. So he doesn't make any money, Matt, off any of the natural cures that he promotes on the book and in the website. He simply writes the book and gives people information. And like I said, Matt, I've followed him around. He lives this life. He didn't just, a lot of people go, he just wrote a book to make money. No, he actually lives this lifestyle. I mean, he eats organic food. He's a very healthy individual. He travels the world and interviews all types of people to discover new natural remedies. But, you know, he fought the law. And unfortunately, as the song goes, you know, the law won. Yeah. The law is winning because, you know, they have kept attacking him on the books. They recently sued him on the weight loss cure book as well. And now they're actually going after him criminally for violating previous agreements that he had with the Federal Trade Commission. So basically, he has been one of the leaders in promoting natural remedies, natural cures, if you will, that can help a whole bunch of people and helps people. I've seen thousands of testimonials from people that have used cures in the book, from cancer to diabetes to heart disease to fibromyalgia, all the way to things like herpes and AIDS. And I've seen testimonial after testimonial after testimonial thanking him for getting this information out there. Unfortunately, Matt, he's paying the price. Major pharma, big pharmaceutical companies work in collusion, in my opinion, with the FDA to go out there and suppress and debunk natural information. And since he is, let's say, the leader out there giving this type of information, or was the leader out there giving this type of information, he's the one that they wanted to knock off first. Yeah. He was public enemy number one as far as the FDA and the FTC is concerned. You know, the FDA has really become almost a union for the drug companies. They're out there to protect the profits of the drug companies. And as you know, nothing can cure, prevent, or treat a disease unless it's a drug, according to the FDA and now law in the United States. And that's sad.
That is sad, Donald. But we're going to need to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to investigate a couple products and claims made by Kevin Trudeau and give you our opinion on what we think of his claims. All that and more. This is Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network.
Hi, NBA forward Kevin Durant from the Oklahoma City Thunder, here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have more energy to do the things you like to do.
And that's a slam dunk.
Whether you like to shoot hoops like me, skateboard, ride a bike,
or dance on your roof, just move it your way.
For an hour a day. Because moving every day puts you on the offense towards a stronger you.
And that makes you part of a winning team.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Bugs.
So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up, play, and move it your way. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.go.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
You said it at www.letsmove.go. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
My name is Matt Rencars, and I'm the founder of Fusion Ions. We are so confident that you're going to love our bands. We want you to try one risk-free so you can see for yourself how powerful these bands really are. Don't wait. Go to FusionIons.com to find out how you can receive your very own free Fusion Ions band. Take advantage before they are gone. FusionIons.com. That's FusionIonz.com.
You're listening to Unspoken Cures Radio on the Arena Sports Network.
All right, we are back. This is Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network. And we've been talking about a rather polarizing figure throughout the United States. His name's Kevin Trudeau. And a lot of our listeners know of him.
New York Times best-selling author. I mean, he was on the New York Times best-selling list for 17 weeks, man. I mean, very, very popular individual and has a great, huge following.
Yeah, he sold billions of dollars worth of self-help and nutritional products, correct?
Correct. Yeah. And, most of the products are great products that he sold. I mean, if you just read the FTC and the websites and all the debunking information out there that tries to, ridicule him, you don't really get to learn about the man himself, because I think he's a very fascinating individual that really does want to help people.
And, probably one of his first products from a nutrition standpoint, correct me if I'm wrong, that created adversity for him was Coral Calcium, correct?
Correct, Coral Calcium. He interviewed a guy named Robert Barefoot on a unique type of calcium from Okinawa, Japan, called Coral Calcium. And, he did an infomercial. It was one of the best-selling infomercials during that time frame when it ran. And he was sued again by the Federal Trade Commission for selling that product based on the claims that were made in that infomercial. But to talk about the product itself, Coral Calcium, it's a tremendous product. Matt, you know this as well as I know this, but a lot of our viewing audience may not know that calcium is the most abundant mineral in the body. We have more calcium in our body than any other mineral.
That's because of our bones, right?
Right. And if they were to look down upon us from outer space, they would say we're calcium critters. We're full of calcium. Okay? And calcium is one of the toughest and hardest minerals for the body to absorb. But marine coral calcium from Okinawa has not only natural occurring magnesium in there, which you need magnesium in there to absorb the calcium.
Yeah,
it has a lot of other cofactors that make coral calcium much more absorbable than other calciums out there.
Yeah, that's actually an athletic trick. Is you supplement magnesium so everything else you take enters the body faster. So, like, right. I actually, that's one of the supplements I take is raw magnesium.
So, Coral Calcium is a fascinating product, which had a great story, and he did an infomercial, and the product really just took off. Now, there is a lot of science and documentation out there, double-blind placebo-controlled studies that show calcium and vitamin D can play a role in reducing your risk of cancer or slowing the progression of cancer. Now, he talked a little bit about that on the show when he interviewed Robert Barefoot, and Robert Barefoot talked about that as well. But the FTC came out and said they're actually trying to sell a cure for cancer, which is not true. It had all the disclaimers on the show that nothing on the show is intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease. Sure. But they turned it around and put it out into the press like he's trying to sell a cancer cure.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what it still says. It still says that.
I mean, anybody, Kevin's brilliant, okay, but anybody knows you can't go on television and say, we have the cure for cancer. even if you did, you need $800 million to get the drug approved by the FDA, and you'd have to go through years of clinical studies to get it out on the market. So nobody could say that. Nobody in their right mind would say that. But just like when people say, I did a show called Supreme Greens years ago, and they said I said the same thing. That I said these green vegetables that you take could reduce your risk of cancer. And if you go and look, there's information out there that says if you eat 8 to 12 fruits and vegetables every single day, you can dramatically lower your risk of cancer. Okay, that information is widely known. But 8 to 12 servings of fruits and vegetables every day? What are you supposed to eat, an apple every hour? I mean, it's almost impossible to do. So that leads a lot of people to supplementation. And I sold a product called Supreme Greens, which gave people the amount of fruits and vegetables, especially green vegetables, that they needed on a daily basis. And we said in the show that it may reduce your risk of cancer. They turn it around and say, no, you're saying it cures cancer. Nobody would say that. Okay, and I got fined. I had a larger fine than Kevin. I got fined $49 million for making those claims. And that's what people don't understand. A lot of companies that have natural products that can help prevent and treat and cure a lot of diseases, the companies that market these products, they cannot tell you what these products do because they're fearful from the FDA, the Gestapo, that's going to come down and shut them down. I mean, when they went into Kevin Trudeau's office after they sued him on Coral Calcium, people don't know this. They went in with guns. And they wrap up all the calcium. They put the secretaries on the floor with guns.
They came in like it was a mafia bust.
Right. I mean, it's calcium. It's calcium.
Did they have those? Full,
they said his book was a medical device.
Did they have those full hazmat suits as well, like the full?
I mean, imagine coming in with guns. Give us all the calcium.
It's unbelievable.
It's just people just don't know. But the FDA does. I mean, I heard a quote one time from a former FDA commissioner, I think his name was Herbert Lay, and he said, what the FDA is doing and what the public thinks the FDA is doing is like night and day. People say, and if you see something on the news, Okay, I was watching the news about some, it was called Dream Water, I believe, a drink that helps people sleep at night.
Okay.
And there was a lot of great studies and a lot of great testimonials in this investigative report. But at the end of the report, the news reporter had to come on and say, now, Dream Water is not FDA approved, and there are still a lot of questions out there, which makes the average person go, what do you mean it's not FDA approved? Well, the FDA doesn't even approve natural products.
Yeah.
You can't go to the FDA to have a natural product approved.
They won't even look at it.
So, that's why people have to get in the know. And that's what Unspoken Cures is all about, is putting people in the know.
Yeah, that's our slogan, is stay in the know, because you have to know what's going on out there.
Right.
And, the part that really upsets me, Donald, is when you talk about companies that are selling natural products and how they're getting shut down, they're getting fined. From what I understand, a medical doctor, if he gave you 3 months to live because of, let's say, something horrible like cancer, even if he knew of a natural therapy that could potentially save your life, if he gave that therapy to you or made a suggestion on a natural basis, he could go to jail. Is that true?
Yeah, and pay a huge fine.
So when it comes down to him essentially saving your life, he could not do what needs to be done to give you an alternative treatment when conventional medicine has failed you.
Correct.
And that to me is unbelievable. And then you hear...
And conventional medicine is failing people like never before. But we've went down a road so far that it's tough to turn back. My mother, for instance, right now is going through lung cancer. She has stage 4 lung cancer. It was in her lungs, and now it's spread to her brain, and she has it in her bones as well. And in my family, we've had a lot of cancer over the years, and everyone that has ever tried chemotherapy or radiation in my family has very adverse side effects. They get very, very sick. And my mother goes to, we're here in Boston. We have the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. We have some of the greatest hospitals in the world for people that have cancer. And my mother comes home, and she's basically a pawn of the industry right now, because the doctors tell her that we're coming up with all this new medicine, all this new research is coming out that could potentially save you. And you know what it all is, Matt? It's all a different form of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Okay? And in my opinion, chemotherapy does not work.
What was the quote you sent me the other night? You said there's things worse than death, and one of them is chemotherapy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some things are worse than death, and one is chemotherapy. And they suck people in by using rubber numbers. I talked to you about this the other night. For instance, let me give you a hypothetical example. Okay? If there was 100 people in a double-blind placebo-controlled study, and out of those 100 people, 2 people were supposed to get cancer, okay? But by chance, only 1 person got cancer. So really, there was only 1% benefit, right? But the way they look at it is, no, there was a 50% reduction in cancer, where that one less person with cancer, that could have been by chance.
Yeah.
But they'll put out all these press releases that say, no, there's a 50% reduction in cancer by using that particular drug, which gets people all excited. But if you look at the absolute benefit, it was really only 1%, which could have happened by chance. I mean, you could basically get the same result with a sugar pill.
Sure.
But these drug companies stand to, make a windfall of profits if they have a cancer drug that may reduce your risk of cancer by 50%. I mean, that happened a few years back with tamoxifen, the breast cancer drug. And when you look at them, they put out all these rubber numbers to get more and more women to go on tamoxifen. And, if you looked at the absolute numbers, you could have got the same benefit from a sugar pill.
Wow.
So, I mean, they use all these numbers. And the cancer industry, let me talk, and I'm going to go off a little bit on this, but the cancer industry is very interesting. You know how they define a cure, Matt?
No.
Okay. If you're diagnosed with cancer today, you're diagnosed with cancer, and you're breathing 5 years from now, you're considered cured of cancer. And that's why they go through all these things to have early detection. Come in to get your mammograms earlier and younger, and because they know the earlier they can find your cancer, the more likely you're going to be able to breathe 5 years from now. So it's not that the cancer therapies are even working any better. It's just that they found new techniques and new methods to discover that you have cancer even earlier. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Donald, but we're going to have to wind down and take a break here. So right after a word from our sponsors, we're going to be discussing Kevin Trudeau's weight loss cure. And this was a book that has him in all the hot water now. And this is a book that he's currently on trial for claims he made inside of it. So all that and more right after word from our sponsors. And this has been Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network.
You do a lot of thinking on a bike. About your life, family, your dreams. One of my dreams came to me on a bike, to open up my own shop. So what happens when you complete a dream? Well, you just start thinking of the next.
Visit DrastichAgency.com or call 219-945-3040 and ask Joel Drasich how you can get all of your insurance under one roof.
All right, we are back on Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network. Donald, the Natural Cures Weight Loss Cure. That is the book that another bestseller of Kevin Trudeau's, but that's the book that currently has him in a bit of trouble, correct?
Yes, it does.
Okay, and you shot this book with him.
Yeah, I did the original infomercial on the weight loss cure with him, and I interviewed him on the book. And it became a runaway best-selling book. And the reason why the government went after him on the weight loss cure book is because he didn't represent the book correctly on the advertisement. So what he said on the infomercial wasn't necessarily represented in the book. For instance, he talks about in the book that you need to have a 500-calorie diet, 500 calories a day. Well, let me let you in on a secret, Matt. Okay? If you eat 500 calories every day, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that he recommended in the book was you had to find a doctor that would prescribe an off-label drug, meaning a drug called HCG.
Yeah.
And it's not recommended for weight loss. So you basically had to go to a doctor that would recommend HCG to you or prescribe it to you, which was very, very difficult. So the diet was very difficult to follow. And he said on the infomercial, which I think this was puffery, but he said it should be considered puffery by the FTC. He said that the diet was easy. And I think anybody that has ever counted calories will tell you if I eat 500 calories a day, that's not easy. But the fascinating thing, Matt, is when I talk to people, and I talked to a couple, I talked to an older couple named Dennis and Doris. They were in their 70s, and they did the weight loss program. And they said, when we read the book, we thought it was going to be difficult. But when we actually used the techniques, and they both lost over 50 pounds in like 2 months, they said it actually was easy. So I think it's interesting that maybe it didn't sound easy as people read the book, but if people did the medication, that HCG medication, and actually followed the guidelines, that it was easy for people. And I've heard that not just from that couple, but I've heard it from other people as well. But the bottom line is it was a very difficult diet for the average person to follow. And he recommended that you eat all organic foods, and he talked about that you could eat whatever you want, whenever you want. And that just simply wasn't true. When you read the book, you realized that you had to eat all organic food, that you couldn't go back and you couldn't eat more than 500 calories a day. So how can you say that you can eat whatever you want?
Yeah.
So there was some problems with it. But again, Matt, this wasn't his diet. He didn't sit down and write up this diet. It was actually developed by Dr. Simians.
Okay.
I think that was his name. He was a British medical doctor that discovered this cure for weight loss.
Yep.
And I can tell you that Kevin and I was with him when he was doing this weight loss program, that he dramatically lost weight. He followed this program to a T, and he lost weight. So just like the Natural Cures book, the Weight Loss Cure book, he believes 100%, and he did it. And he was just passing on his information. But since he's such a lightning rod with the FTC and the FDA, anything he does becomes highly scrutinized, and they send out all this negative information to the press. So when someone goes to look up Kevin Trudeau, you think he's a scam artist. But he really is out there to help people. And I believe the information that he's got out there in the last few years with these books has helped countless amounts of people.
Now, Donald, when Kevin first told you about his weight loss cure, what did you think?
Well, I wanted to see him actually lose the weight because he told me about it before he actually decided to do the diet himself. And when I saw him lose the weight, and he was losing about a pound a day for, I think, 2 months. I think he lost about 60 pounds or something. It was incredible because he lost, weight in the problem areas first. He lost weight in the belly, in the hips. And it worked for him, and I became a believer because I saw it work for him. And when I interviewed him, I knew that I was interviewing somebody that believed in what they were talking about.
Yep.
And this diet, it did help a lot of people lose weight. So although it's controversial and it's been attacked by the FDA and the FTC, it worked for a lot of people out there.
Now, I know one of the things that you and I have talked about is that he made a claim, like you just said, that once you finish a protocol, that you can go back to eating any sort of food you want. And that turns out to be not completely true. Is that right?
You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct in saying that.
Okay.
And he said that on the infomercial, that you can go back and eat whatever you want, and that wasn't true. So he didn't accurately represent the contents of the book, and that's why he's in trouble today. And he's facing. People don't realize this. He's in a criminal trial right now. You can look it up. Type up Kevin Trudeau on Google, and you'll see that he's in a criminal trial right now, and he's potentially facing life in prison.
Life in prison.
And I was telling my wife this, and she doesn't necessarily like Kevin Trudeau that much. And she's like, but who did the guy kill?
Yeah.
Who did he? Are you kidding me? Facing life in prison for writing a book? This is America. This isn't Nazi Germany. What are they going to start burning books? You have a guy that's giving his opinion. Yes, and he should have accurately represented the contents of the book. Okay, but to face life in prison?
I don't think Aaron Hernandez will get life in prison.
No.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
So, and he's in a trial right now, and
I think I think it's fair to say there's.
I don't know all the details of the trial, but the jury is not going to know the time that he's facing. They're just going to know whether he misrepresented the contents of the book, and he could be facing a lot of time in prison.
Wow. Well, it's funny with talking about his book. Obviously, it's something that you and I have talked about quite a bit because of the release of the Unspoken Cures Weight Loss Edition, essentially our book and one that I'm writing. And it's funny because we have to be very careful, obviously, of making sure we represent the book correctly. But if I was to scrutinize what the diet that he put out there, I am very hypercritical of anything that's calorie restrictive, just because in my experience, I've seen people fail time and time again. And I think one of the coolest aspects of the discovery that we talk about in the Unspoken Cures Weight Loss Edition is the fact that people can lose weight and legitimately eat what they want virtually every day. And the key is, I'm not saying that they can have whatever they want all day long. That would be crazy, right? But every day you can have a type of food or foods that you want to eat, and I know you're currently following it, and how easy is it for you?
Well, I've tried virtually every diet out there. I always joke that I tried the 30-day diet and I lost a month. I tried the grapefruit diet. I tried Weight Watchers. I've tried Jenny Craig. I've tried sending meals to the house.
Yep.
And I've been overweight for a long time. And when you're overweight, let's face it. It's stressful to be overweight.
Yeah.
A lot of times you're embarrassed. You don't want to take your shirt off, or you get out of breath just tying your shoes. You hate trying on your clothes. Sometimes you just wear the same pair of pants every day because they fit right.
Yeah.
And it's just you don't have sometimes intimate relationships with the people that you love because of the weight issues, and that sometimes can hurt relationships. And I tried a lot of different diets to lose weight. When I looked into your diet, and it's really not a diet, it's really more of a lifestyle.
Yeah,
it was easy and simple to follow because it wasn't calorie restrictive like Weight Watchers. I wasn't counting calories every day. I could virtually eat whatever I want during that window of time that you give me to eat every single day.
Yeah.
And I never felt deprived. And it's not your diet, man. I think that's very important for people to understand. You didn't invent this diet; you discovered it.
And you know what? It's not even classified as a diet. It's purely a metabolic loophole that was originally used in Russia. So it was a Russian weight loss secret that was then investigated, researched, and validated by none other than the Harvard Medical School. So
this was a Russian weight loss secret, and what I read, it was actually used in the Olympics to help athletes lose weight quickly.
While maintaining their muscle and strength. So think about athletes recontouring themselves virtually overnight. And when I say that, it sounds aggressive, but You've actually now seen the pictures of people that are following this protocol that I've put in place, that I've discovered, this discovery that's a metabolic loophole, and the pictures speak for themselves. I mean, I think a lot of people have said, no, there's no way that guy can look like that now. And
well, go to, if you can post them on unspokencures.com, I think a lot of people will go there and see these pictures. And a lot of these are just people that have been following it for 10 days.
10 days. We have some more tonight. 10 days.
One of the interesting things about this weight loss cure, as you refer to it as, is it was originally investigated by Harvard Medical School as a cure for type 2 diabetes.
That's correct. It was investigated and proven. That's the key. And so that's where the research comes from. But it just so happens that what they discovered is the same in every human being walking the earth. And when you use this to melt away body fat, it teaches you how to leverage this metabolic loophole so you can lose weight, continue to lose weight, and live comfortably without deprivation for the rest of your life. And that's the key. But here's the issue. It's been suppressed. And it's been suppressed because, guess what? What would a type 2 diabetes cure represent? It would represent $200 billion worth of lost revenue with the pharmaceutical companies. So what happened? That report disappeared, and now these companies are spending day in and day out trying to replicate this natural discovery that happens in every human being. They're trying to replicate that in a pill form that will ultimately have side effects and they can sell to the general public. So even though when I explain how you can do this naturally and effectively and easily, there's going to, at some point, be a pill that will do the same thing that's going to cost you a lot of money and potentially kill you.
Now, diabetes is a major issue. It's epidemic in our country, type 2 diabetes. But pre-diabetes is very interesting because there's over 90 million pre-diabetics in our country, and one of the telltale signs that you may be pre-diabetic is you're overweight.
Donald, I have a great story for that. There was a gentleman that I know. His name's Raj. He moved here from India, and he was a competitive weightlifter in India, very strong, great shape. Came over here with our American food, our culture. He gained weight, and the doctor, right before he started using the discovery that I laid out for him, he had an average blood sugar, meaning he took it over a 7-day period. His average blood sugar was 248, which is right at the brink. It's high. It's right at the brink of type 2 diabetes. Since he started using the protocol I laid out, since he started following the discovery, not only has it been easy for him, but his average blood sugar right now, it's just been 10 days. His average blood sugar is now around 115. He would wake up every day, and every day his blood sugar would be 200 plus. And now his average, like this morning, he woke up, he said, I can't believe it, it was 86. He goes, it's never been 86. He goes, I can't even explain how it's this in control now. So just by following a simple program, he's now no longer a candidate for type 2 diabetes, and it's only been 10 days.
And you can understand why this information is being suppressed with 1 out of 3 people that are pre-diabetic. You know, the pharmaceutical companies are looking at all these people that are overweight like the lion looks at lunch.
Absolutely.
Because it's money in the bank.
Raj was money in the bank. He was money in the bank. His next visit, it would have been, we need to get you on medication. We need to get you on type 2 diabetes treatment. And he falls in line with the millions of other people, 25 million other people that are doing it. So now this following a simple, and you've done it. I can go on TV and say this is easy because it is easy to follow. There's nothing difficult about this program. There's nothing that's hard to follow at all. You can do it everything from the comfort of your home painlessly. And the fact that it's that simple to essentially cure type 2 diabetes is sickening that it's not out there in droves. But that's what we're here to do.
All these people are in the waiting room for diabetes. Like, it's just like they're in waiting to be diagnosed with diabetes, and there's something that they can do about it naturally.
Yep.
And get out of that waiting room, folks. Get out of that waiting room. Go to the website Unspoken Cures. And I know the book's going to be released at the beginning of the year, Matt.
Yeah, there's already
people can go there and read the first chapter.
Yes, exactly, Donald. They can go to unspokencures.com. They can actually click on the book cover, and that'll take them to the first chapter. And they can read and just get a feel for kind of how I'm positioning the book, read a little bit of my story, and a little bit of how I discovered basically what I consider the cure for weight loss. Because once you read it and once you understand that you can still eat what you want, live the sort of life that you want, but you can get rid of the pounds that you've been carrying that make you tired, that make you sick, that make you less confident, whether it's 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, it doesn't matter. This discovery, this protocol, will allow you to lose every pound you want to lose while maintaining the best type of body that you've always wanted. So go to Unspoken Cures, read the first chapter. If you like what you read, go ahead and register for an advanced copy. And again, that book will be coming out by the beginning of the year to make sure people have it in their arsenal for the fitness craze that always happens around January. So anyway, this has been Unspoken Cures Radio. We appreciate you listening this week, and we'll be back again next Saturday at 9 a.m. with another fresh episode of Unspoken Cures Radio, only on the Arena Sports Network. Take care.
You've been listening to Unspoken Cures Radio, exclusively on the Arena Sports Network. Unspoken Cures is presented by Fusion Ions Bands. Fusion Ions, live your best. Join us next Saturday for another edition of Real Health Talk on Unspoken Cures Radio. only on the Arena Sports Network.